Today we're talking about something that honestly sounds like science fiction. AI-generated fraud, deepfake invoices, fake executives, voice cloning, and apparently finance teams everywhere are now being hunted like gazelles at a watering hole. Don't forget to subscribe down below, and let's get started. Welcome to the F Word, where fraud, finance, and forensic investigation collide. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the F Word. I'm Indianna, and today we're talking about something that honestly sounds like science fiction. AI-generated fraud, deepfake invoices, fake executives, voice cloning, and apparently finance teams everywhere are now being hunted like gazelles at a watering hole. Dave, are we officially at the point where nobody should trust anything anymore?
Unfortunately, pretty much yes. And the scary part is the criminals are getting very, very, very good. We've moved from badly written scam emails from Prince Mohammed promising you $40 million that he's got hidden under his mattress to professionally crafted fraud attempts that can fool experienced financial departments. Honestly, some of these scams now sound more professional than the actual businesses.
That's truly terrifying. And I think most people still imagine cybercrime as some teenager in a hoodie hammering away at the keyboard in a dark basement. But the reality now is much more sophisticated, right?
You're absolutely correct. Modern cybercrime is based on psychology powered by technology. The criminals aren't really attacking computers anymore. They're now attacking trust, fatigue, hierarchy, and routine. They know that people are overwhelmed. They know finance teams process hundreds of invoices every month. And they know staff are afraid to challenge executives. And AI has supercharged all of that.
So let's start with the very basics. What exactly is a deep fake? Because people hear the term all the time now.
So deepfake is essentially an AI-generated impersonation. And that can mean a number of different things. It could mean fake voices, fake video, or even something like fake emails or just fake writing style. And it's getting frighteningly convincing. We're now seeing criminals clone voices from YouTube videos, podcasts, social media clips, and voicemail greetings. So if your CEO speaks publicly online, there's a very good chance somebody could create a fake version of them.
That's insane, Dave. I'm really glad we're doing this podcast today. Theoretically, somebody could receive a phone call from their boss telling them to wire them some money.
Not theoretically, it's already happening. There have been multiple documented cases worldwide where finance staff have received phone calls from what sounded exactly like their boss, authorizing an urgent transfer. And because the voice sounds familiar, because the phone number came from their boss's phone number, people comply. And that's the scary part. Humans are wired to trust familiarity.
That's terrifying. And this isn't just a massive corporations. This isn't just massive corporations anymore, right? Smaller businesses are being targeted too.
Well, it's definitely not just larger corporations. In fact, in many ways, smaller businesses are easier targets, mainly because their controls are weaker. They have one person wearing multiple hats. Verification processes are often informal or not there at all, and IT resources are limited. And honestly, a lot of companies still operate on, well, Susan usually hands that, which works brilliantly, until Susan gets socially engineered by somebody pretending to be the CEO.
I can't believe it. And you actually had a real attempt against your own company recently, didn't you?
We've had more than one. There's been about 4 recently. It seems to be the latest trend.
They phoned a fraud company. They tried a fraud company.
Correct. And honestly, it's one of the better fraud attempts I've seen. The fraudsters created fake overdue invoices pretending to be from a marketing company. Professional signatures, professional wording, multiple follow-ups, legal disclaimers, the whole lot looked polished. And here's the clever part. They even inserted into the email chain an email that appeared to have come from me, Dave at Forensic Restitution, was in there.
I mean, once again, which is horrifying considering your business literally investigates fraud for a living.
Exactly. And that's why it's such a good example. The fraudsters understood something very important. People trust internal controls and approvals. So they created this fake email chain where Dave Oswald, me, appears to say, this invoice has been reviewed by me and approved. Accounts Payable team, kindly proceed with payment. And if somebody has skimmed that chain quickly, it looked so legitimate.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it, Dave? People are busy. They're not sitting there analyzing every email like it's a CIA operation.
Exactly, and that's what fraudsters know and understand. Cyber criminals understand human workflow better than most managers do. They know people multitask, they know people skim. They know that people trust authority, and they know that a lot of people are burnt out. Honestly, a lot of fraud prevention comes down to somebody in finance saying, hang on a second, this feels weird. And that moment of hesitation is incredibly valuable.
And there was another really clever detail in this scam that I think people need to hear, that they actually copied you on the email to Accounts Payable, didn't they?
Yes, so the email that went to Accounts Payable had Dave Oswald on it, but it had a fake email address that it would go back to. The idea was that the Accounts Payable team would have a look at the email and see that I was copied on it and not bother clicking on to check whether that was my name or not. And honestly, when they sent the invoice through to our finance team, that's what it looked like. So psychologically, the team saw that Dave approved it, Dave is copied, and everything looks normal, which dramatically lowers suspicion.
But it wasn't actually your email address, right?
No, the email address that they sent to the email to the AP to, accounts payable to, was slightly different. It wasn't David Forensic Restitution, it was David FRD, which obviously isn't a legitimate email address. But here's the important point. People don't inspect the copied email addresses. They just see, "Oh, Dave's copied on it," and mentally they move on.
I mean, well, people are busy, which is also terrifying because it shows how little details completely change how people perceive legitimacy.
Exactly. The criminals understand workflow psychology incredibly well. They know staff don't conduct forensics investigations on every email. They know that people scan quickly, especially when they're busy, when they recognize names, when an executive appears involved, and when the sound request sounds, well, routine. And honestly, that tiny fake CC trick probably increased the credibility of the scam massively.
It's almost theatrical, like they're staging legitimacy.
That's actually the perfect way to describe the modern fraud. It's theater. The invoice wasn't a real attack at all. The invoice, the illusion of the internal approval was the attack. And that's where AI and cybercrime are heading, to manufactured trust. One of the other things that was interesting here is that they didn't use a real thing. So they used a marketing company or and often they'll use professional corporations in order to say that this is an invoice. And the reason why they do that is that nobody can go and say, oh, we've got a box of stuff that was delivered over there. When you've got something which is from a professional company or consulting company, what do you have? Maybe a report at the end of the day, but honestly, there's not much to show.
I think that phrase that you just said, which is horrifying, the phrase is manufactured trust. It's just so important, right?
Yeah, well, that's what deepfake fraud really is. Criminals are manufacturing familiarity, authority, and legitimacy at scale. And finance departments are right in their crosshairs.
And there was something strange about the email domain too, right?
Yeah, they used the Greystone Marketing Group in the one, but the domain was grandloudonrow.com, which sounds like somebody sneezed while typing, and that's a tactic. Fraudsters use domains that feel vaguely legitimate because they know people will only just glance at them.
It's amazing how much of this relies on psychology, not necessarily technology.
Well, exactly. One of the people who was seen as being the initial hackers in the world actually wasn't a hacker, he was a social engineer. And now what we've managed to do is we've managed to create a whole bunch of social engineers by using AI. Most
Mm.
cybercrime today is behavioral manipulation. The technology is just a delivery mechanism. People still imagine hacking as somebody breaking through firewalls like in Hollywood movies. But in reality, most financial frauds today starts with, "Hey, Karen, quick favor."
Poor Karen from Accounts Payable. She's takes a beating on this podcast, Dave. It doesn't seem but fair.
Well, Karen is carrying the financial security of half the economy on her shoulders, and the criminals know it. Finance teams are prime targets because they control payments, payroll, banking changes, vendor onboarding. To a fraudster, accounts payable is basically the front door to your vault.
So, what should businesses actually be doing? Because most people listening are now probably staring suspiciously at every single email in the inbox. I mean, I know I am.
Well, honestly, that's not the worst outcome. Healthy skepticism is good, but practically, businesses need multi-factor authentication everywhere, dual approvals, callback verification, proper segregation of duties, ongoing staff training, and most importantly, verification culture. People need to feel comfortable slowing things down and asking the questions that matter.
That's a brilliant point, actually, because a lot of workplaces unintentionally punish caution. Everything is urgent, ASAP. Why isn't it done yet?
Well, exactly. And that's what fraudsters weaponize: urgency. One of the big red flags in cyber fraud is artificial urgency. Things like, "We need to make the payment today. Don't call me. Please keep this confidential. Please handle quietly." No legitimate executive ever says, "Hey, please bypass all the controls quietly." Sorry, at least not the honest ones.
I was waiting for you to add that in, Dave. And so, where do you see this going over the next few years?
Honestly, it's going to get much worse before it gets any better. AI will make scams more believable, more personalized, and more scalable. Eventually, we'll have real-time deepfake video calls that are almost impossible to distinguish from reality. The scams will soon look more professional than actual business communication, which I've got to admit is a depressing thought.
So depressing, and it's genuinely unsettling. What's the final takeaway for businesses listening today?
Well, the biggest thing is this: cybercrime is no longer an IT issue. It's more a human issue. Your best defense is not software. It's a skeptical employee willing to say, "Hmm, something about this doesn't feel right." One cautious AP clerk can save the company hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Millions, millions, even, Dave, I think, and probably several panic attacks too.
And several emergency board meetings.
Dave, thank you. This has been both fascinating and mildly terrifying.
Well, that basically seems to be our brand now.
Pretty much. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the F Word. If today's episode made you slightly paranoid, good. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Share it with a friend who you think needs to hear.